Ladies and gentlemen, hit subscribe to this channel right now. This is huge. CNN. Durham interviewed Hillary Clinton on alleged plan to tie Trump to Russia. Found no provable criminal offense. Why is that? Oh, that's right. Because none of the declassified information, none of the classified data that eventually was declassified was released until 2025. The probe ended in 2023. You do the math. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. James Comey, indicted. You have Brennan and others who will be indicted. Hillary Clinton almost certainly will be indicted. Here is why. The Durham probe ended in 2023. Durham interviewed Hillary Clinton. The statute of limitations is well within the 5-year period. Check this out. This, ladies and gentlemen, is huge.
Then CIA Director Brennan and the intelligence community mischaracterized intelligence and relied on dubious substandard sources to create a contrived false narrative that Putin developed a quote-unquote clear preference for Trump. Brennan and the IC misled lawmakers by referencing the debunked Steele dossier to assess quote-unquote Russia's plans and intentions, falsely suggesting that this dossier had intelligence value when he knew that it was discredited. The intelligence community excluded significant intelligence and ignored or selectively quoted reliable intelligence that contradicted the intelligence community assessment's key findings on Putin's alleged support for Trump.
Almost certainly, the Clinton team, or Hillary Clinton, lied to John Durham. This, of course, is a felony, but almost certainly they lied about the Steele dossier's role in a plan to tie Trump to Russia. The reason there was no provable criminal offense is that the ODNI at that point was not run by Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard and the FBI was not run by Kash Patel, and the CIA was not run by John Radcliffe. They just declassified not only information pertaining to Clinton, and you can read here regarding the Durham probe Clinton annex, newly declassified appendix to Durham report sheds additional light on Clinton campaign plan to falsely tie Trump to Russia and FBI's failure to investigate. So we have all this information now that the Durham probe did not have. We have testimony. So they can do the same thing they did. It was apparently closed-door testimony. They almost certainly have all the evidence needed, at least for a perjury charge. So almost certainly, and I don't think it's a great leap of logic to state that with the newly declassified Durham probe information, and also the ODNI report that Tulsi Gabbard declassified, I don't think it's a stretch to say, okay, it's within the 5-year statute of limitations, at least for perjury charges. So Hillary Clinton, who purchased the Steele dossier with the DNC, testified to Durham within the 5-year span, and almost certainly lied about the Steele dossier's role in setting up and framing an innocent man. Democrats set up and framed an innocent man in Donald Trump. That is immoral, that is unjust, that is un-American. Democrats believe that they are the most morally superior. The reality is they framed an innocent man. And they framed innocent men, George Papadopoulos, Carter Page, and others. And they did so with glee, with animus. They wanted retribution. This isn't a retribution tour. The Democrats, what they did was a retribution campaign after Trump won. They are the ones who wanted retribution. They wanted revenge for losing to Trump because they thought they had U.S. history in the palm of their hands. Thank God they didn't. Check this out. This is the basis for the indictments of Hillary Clinton and others.
The records that we released on Friday that were ODNI records, Senator Chuck Grassley's release on Monday of what is known as the Clinton Annex, which was an appendix to the Department of Justice Office of Inspector General's 2018 report, as well as the House Intelligence Committee's majority oversight report that we're releasing today, all come back to and confirm the same report. There was a gross politicization and manipulation of intelligence by the Obama administration intended to delegitimize President Trump even before he was inaugurated, ultimately usurping the will of the American people. I'm going to go over the key findings from the House Intelligence Report, which investigated the claims that were made by an intelligence community assessment ordered by President Obama and published in January of 2017. First, Putin's principal interests relating to the 2016 election were to undermine faith in the U.S. democratic process, not show any preference of a certain candidate. In fact, this report shows Putin held back from leaking compromising material on Hillary Clinton prior to the election, instead planning to release it after the election to weaken what Moscow viewed as an inevitable Clinton presidency. In the January 2017 intelligence community assessment that President Obama ordered, John Brennan, who was CIA director at the time, and the intelligence community intentionally suppressed intelligence that showed Putin was saving the most damaging material that he had in his possession about Hillary Clinton until after her potential and likely victory.
Say goodbye to your reading glasses.
The report goes into great detail about the information that Russia and Putin had on Hillary Clinton, which included possible criminal acts like secret meetings with multiple named U.S. religious organizations in which State Department officials offered, in exchange for supporting Secretary Clinton's campaign for the presidency, significant increases in financing from the State Department. They also had documents that showed the patronage of the State Department to State Department employees who would go and support Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. There were high-level DNC emails that detailed evidence of Hillary's, quote, psycho-emotional problems, uncontrolled fits of anger, aggression, and cheerfulness, and that then Secretary Clinton was allegedly on a daily regimen of heavy tranquilizers. Then CIA Director Brennan and the intelligence community mischaracterized intelligence and relied on dubious substandard sources to create a contrived false narrative that Putin developed a quote-unquote clear preference for Trump. Brennan and the IC misled lawmakers by referencing the debunked Steele dossier to assess quote-unquote Russia's plans and intentions, falsely suggesting that this dossier had intelligence value when he knew that it was discredited. The intelligence community excluded significant intelligence and ignored or selectively quoted reliable intelligence that contradicted the intelligence community assessment's key findings on Putin's alleged support for Trump. Including this intelligence reporting would have exposed the ICA's claim as implausible, if not ridiculous. The intelligence community assessment omitted reliably sourced information, such as how some Russian intelligence officials were quote-unquote planning for candidate Hillary Clinton's victory, while others assessed neither Trump nor Clinton would respect Russia's interests.
The DNC emails themselves showed that Hillary Clinton's campaign wanted President Trump because they thought President Trump was too extreme or polarizing. There's even a Politico article on that. But ladies and gentlemen, the Durham probe has essentially indicted Hillary Clinton. Okay, she has testimony under oath with John Durham, according to CNN and others. This is from Chuck Grassley. The declassified information from the Durham probe, in addition to the declassified information released from the Director of National Intelligence that you just heard, Tulsi Gabbard, points to an overt, wide-ranging conspiracy. No need for a theory. Okay? I'm going to speak very slowly so the morally superior, highly educated liberal Democrats can understand, basic logic. This is not a theory. This actually took place. It was a number of people, Hillary Clinton, John Brennan, James Comey, Clapper, and others, who conspired, who worked together. Whether or not they had little memos or text messages or emails to each other saying, hey, do this, do that, is completely irrelevant. They set up and framed Trump. And because of the Durham probe, Hillary Clinton will get indicted. Hit subscribe, almost certainly hit subscribe.